I have to say, I'm pretty astonished by some of the comments that I'm hearing with this situation with Ahmaud Arbery and the McMichaels, particularly from black men in this YouTube space. And this is supposed to be about black male empowerment and black male agency and setting the story straight. And this video is not going to be about what Arbery was or wasn't doing. You know, I have my opinion on that. I personally don't think he was really doing anything all that much criminal. But this isn't what this video is about. This is about the comments and the rhetoric that's coming from black men in these YouTube spaces about confronting individuals in their neighborhood or maybe in other circumstances where they think that something suspicious may be going on. And we really need to set the record straight. If you are actually involved in some kind of neighborhood watch effort to begin with, what neighborhood watch is and what neighborhood watch isn't. Neighborhood watch is simply what the name is. The operative word is called watch. It's not called neighborhood response. It's not called neighborhood confront. It's not called neighborhood engage. It's watch. It's the same thing when a known criminal is on the loose and local law enforcement and the local media put out a description of the person and maybe an automobile of this person. Now, what does local law enforcement and the local media always tell the public when they give these descriptions? They say that if you see this person, do not confront them, do not engage them, do not make it noticeable and obvious that you're watching the person. Make yourself discreet, make yourself inconspicuous, make it appear as you're simply going about your business, and find a safe location to place the phone call to tip off the local authorities. Don't pull out your phone right there while standing looking at the person and start calling, letting that person know if they're watching you, which is a pretty good chance that they're going to notice you. And then they may react to you looking at them, staring at them, being obvious and noticeable, and then pulling out your phone call and giving the details. Because if they truly are a threat to the community, what do you think they're going to do to you for tipping off the authorities? What do you think they're going to do to you, to being a witness, to being a tipper? The same thing applies in these neighborhood watch scenarios. I'm going to give you an example of something with me that happened about a year ago or so. There had been this car driving through my street in my neighborhood. I live on a dead-end street. There's only about 10 houses on that street. I know every family that lives on that street. I know about the cars that are on that street, so you know when somebody gets a new car, or you know when someone's visiting. You know, I have one particular neighbor where there's some younger people in the house, so they get a lot of visitors, you know, and a lot of different younger people in different cars. But other than that, I know who's there, I know the cars that they drive, I know who's supposed to be on that street as far as who lives there. So when I saw this one automobile for a number of days just driving through, you know, I felt it was suspicious. Now, there was this one particular day where I had to leave my house for a particular job assignment, okay, and I wasn't going to be home for a while. And as soon as I was pulling off to leave, this car was coming in to the street once again, okay. So that's what really had me more concerned, the fact that I wasn't going to be in the neighborhood. I wasn't as concerned if I was going to be in the neighborhood, but me not being in the neighborhood made me more concerned. So when I saw this car again, and when I'm pulling off about to go to a job, did I stop and stare this person down and make it obvious? Did I try to flag this person down to talk to them and be like, hey, you know, I've noticed you've been driving through here the past number of days. Can I help you? No, I didn't do any of that. I drove off like normally, and I got my phone out. I called my non-emergency local sheriff and constable's office, and I just let them know that there was a suspicious vehicle that I had noticed recently. Okay? Simple as that. That's what neighborhood watch is. And I don't know if any of you, particularly some of these black men who have been making these comments, I don't know if any of you are actually active in any neighborhood watch organization where you talk to local law enforcement, or people who have been in law enforcement, or people who've been in the military, or people who have been on peacekeeping missions, or people who've been in other security situations, and they have the expertise on these circumstances, or people who have experience as gun safety, firearm safety training instructors. You know, I don't know if any of you are actively involved in things like that, or if you're just running your mouth or saying the things that you do, but the things that you do aren't really based upon knowledge. You're just simply reacting, but you don't have any type of planned response or greater strategy that's at work. So I'm telling you right now, and this isn't about anyone being a coward or anything like that, but if you just start randomly confronting people or situations thinking that you're doing the right thing, in that moment, basically you're becoming law enforcement. You're becoming paid security, although you're not being paid. You're taking on all the same risks that people always talk about with the police if you get involved with something like this. And especially if you're not always armed, if you're not trained in how to deal with these situations, and mentally, if you have not prepared yourself to basically be willing to die, because potentially that's what could happen. If you have not mentally prepared yourself and mentally trained yourself in all of situations like these to be prepared to get into a gunfight and potentially die, or some kind of fight for the death, to the death, then you're ill prepared to be stepping into these situations, and you should not be doing it, because you're just going to get yourself hurt. You're just going to be a problem. You're just going to get in the way. That's why it's called, if you see something, say something. Not if you see something, get involved. If you see something, engage. If you see something, respond or react. If you see something, confront the situation. No. Especially if it's not an immediate threat. If a crime is actively taking place. Now, if somebody's actively attacking you or one of your family members, or trying to break into your house, okay, I expect you to do what you need to do in that situation. But in these circumstances, if an active crime is not taking place, and if none of your loved ones is being threatened or attacked, or if someone isn't trying to break into your property, then it's not a self-defense situation. all you are at that moment is simply a concerned citizen that is passing on information. That's it. That's what George Zimmerman should have done. That's what the McMichaels should have done. Even with the elder McMichael being former law enforcement, he should know better. I could see an average civilian acting like this, but not someone who's law enforcement and comes from a law enforcement family. So to the black men that are, almost seeming like they're co-signing or endorsing the response of the McMichaels to Mr. Arbery, I hope that you will never put yourself in the same situation, because there is a chance that a similar result will happen to you in that situation, where either yourself or someone else is going to end up getting shot and maybe killed, when all you had to do was call the police or call your local security if you have paid security in your neighborhood and let them sort out the situation. Okay. And for some of these guys that who are in the military and who have been in the military, and to be saying these things, once again, unless you're prepared to die just because you were a concerned citizen, I really can't take you seriously. Or maybe that shows what role that you played in the military. It was probably a non-combat role, because combat military who have been on peacekeeping missions, who have been deployed in combat missions, a lot of the guys that I've listened to over the years and are now back stateside, they wouldn't be giving that advice. They would not be giving that advice. Okay? So it shows the lack of seriousness, or just the lack of inexperience that you have. And to any younger black men who may be listening to these, I guess, manosphere, whatever you want to call yourselves, don't listen to these guys. You know, I want to give a shout out to BMT. I believe it's a Black Man Talk for the video he did. Go check out BMT's Black Man Talk. Check out his channel and look at the recent video that he did about this. Here's a guy who's been in the military, who is involved in neighborhood watch and gun safety training with people in his community, in his town. This brother is involved. And listen to the advice that he gives. This brother knows what he's talking about, and he has skin in the game. He's actually doing the work, not simply running his mouth on YouTube or social media. He's actually doing the work and actually involved in his local town. Okay? And he doesn't even give this advice. So shout out to BMT, and go check out BMT's video that he did about this. You know, but for a group of guys who call themselves supposed to be about black male improvement and black male empowerment and black male agency, on this front, you don't know what you're talking about. And the things that you're saying are dangerous and are irresponsible. And you're going to get someone hurt. You're going to get someone killed. Whether they're armed or not, whether they're trained or not, somebody's going to get hurt. And like I say, like in that situation with that car in my neighborhood, it ended up being a contractor who was building a house, and they were just driving through the neighborhood looking at what the houses looked like to build something that was similar to the style of the neighborhood. Okay? And yes, as the house was being built, at least in the concrete slab phase, I did actually walk onto the property in the concrete slab phase just to look at the floor plan, the footprint, and see what kind of house that they were building. Okay, now once they started getting past the concrete slab phase, the foundation, and they started, erecting the sticks and everything and doing the framing, then they had a security fence go up, so I didn't go past the security fence because, that just didn't seem that smart. I'm not sure in this case, in this neighborhood, was there a security fence? But as I was walking through my neighborhood, walking down my street, checking the mailbox, doing things like that I normally do, yes, I did walk a little slower past the house, just kind of peeking through the framing and peeking through the windows to see, the type of house that they were building. So, situations like that are pretty normal. People do that in subdivisions where houses are being built, or even in an established neighborhood and a new house is going up, or some renovations are being done. In fact, there was another neighbor who was having some renovations done on their house. Now, once again, I never walked onto the person's property, but driving into my street, I did drive a little slower, even kind of come to a stop, just to look and see what was going on with that remodel. And I noticed that that particular house did have an indoor swimming pool, because a number of the houses in my neighborhood do have indoor swimming pools that are original to when the neighborhood was first built. Okay? So things like that are normal. And that's whether if you live in the neighborhood or not. In my situation, I actually live in the neighborhood. I actually live on the street. But there's a green belt that passes behind my subdivision. A lot of people ride their bikes and stuff like that through the subdivision. There's utility work that takes place there. I notice a lot of things that happen, pretty typical behavior that happens in that green belt that is behind my subdivision. Okay? So especially living here for a while, I'm now accustomed to the different things that take place, and when some things are out of place, or when certain things are maybe unexpected, but nothing wrong is being done. Whether if it's utility work, or people riding bikes, or people walking their dogs, especially now with, the kids not being in school. I've noticed a lot more joggers, I've noticed a lot more dog walkers, I've noticed a lot more bike riders than usual. Okay? And none of those things have startled me. Okay? Because people are at home more. Even myself, I'm at home more. And this is just what people are doing. Okay? And that one situation with the contractor in this subdivision, that's been the one time I've called local police with something taking place, because it's a pretty quiet neighborhood. Nothing really goes on. It's kind of a tucked away subdivision. A lot of people who live in the area don't even know that this subdivision was even here. People who've lived here for years, when they come through here, they're like, oh, I didn't even know this neighborhood was back over here. Okay? So it's a pretty inconspicuous subdivision, and that's the way that I like it. especially living on a back street and living on a dead-end street. That's the way that I like it. I like that it's hidden and that it's tucked away. Okay, so black men, if you're gonna comment on something on these YouTube spaces, and if this is really supposed to be about empowerment and agency, and if you're gonna put information out here, make sure the information you're putting out is credible. Make sure you actually know what you're talking about. Everyone may have an opinion, but not everyone has the facts. And the information that's being put out here is dangerous and irresponsible. And it is not truly working for the betterment and for the empowerment and for black male agency. It's not. It's recklessness, it's foolishness, it's short-sighted, it's not very well thought through, it's not tactical, it is not strategic. You're simply reacting almost like an emotional response, but you're not thinking things through. Now, hey, like I say, for any non-imminent threat situation, and you're just being curious and poking your nose around, if you're willing to die for every little circumstance like that, every little noise that you hear, every little person that passes through your neighborhood, okay, fine, knock yourself out. But me, I'm only prepared to die for active crimes and active situations that are going on. Not something that's, you don't even know what it is, and you're inserting yourself in that situation. If you don't know what it is, but you want someone to go figure it out, that's what your local dispatch number is for, or that's what your local security is for in your subdivision. Okay, so if anyone actually wants to get some kind of neighborhood watch organization or going on in their neighborhood, my advice would be to talk to your fellow neighbors, reach out to your homeowners association or property owners association, reach out to local law enforcement or some kind of local security that may be present, or some kind of firearm safety or gun safety training organization that may be present in your local area. There's a lot of resources that are out there. Reach out to these types of organizations that you can trust and have been thoroughly vetted. I would prefer if it were people who had the same interests that you had, and reach out to them and see if they could get something going on instructing the neighborhood, instructing the community on how to deal with certain situations, how to respond and how not to respond, how to react and how not to react. Okay, if you really want to get involved, if you really want to do the work, and if you really want to organize or be a leader or whatever the situation is, if you really want to do the work, that's how you get it done. Okay? Reach out to individuals who are in law enforcement or used to be in law enforcement, who have served in combat roles in the military, in deployment, who have been on peacekeeping missions, who have been maybe MPs, who have worked in different security forces, security organizations, private security organizations, people who know what they're talking about, people who have knowledge, people who have training, people who have expertise, people who are firearm safety instructors or self-defense instructors. These are the type of people that you should be talking to if you want to get some information and if you want to use their knowledge and their expertise to teach and to help the community. Not just a bunch of random guys running their mouth, having live streams or pre-recorded videos, whatever the style is, on YouTube or social media. That's not the people you should be listening to. You know, so I hope everyone heeds these words, you know, and really think about the rhetoric and the comments that have been going on out there, because the day may come where you might confront someone. I mean, statistically, chances are it's nothing. But the day may come where you may end up confronting someone, and it might be the wrong person who's truly the most dangerous criminal element, and they don't really care or give any regard for human life. And especially if you're not armed, trained, and mentally prepared to step into that situation. And they just might just blow you away right there and blow you off of your feet. And you thinking that you're doing the right thing, you're thinking you're being a protector and a defender of the community, but you're really not. So like I say, an active crime where one of your loved ones, one of your family members, where your property is being broken into, you know, I expect anyone who is armed and trained and capable, I expect any man, or any person for that matter, to act accordingly. But if an active crime is not taking place, let the police handle it. Call the non-emergency number. Call the local dispatch. Don't call 911. 911 is only for emergencies. If you see a suspicious person, and if it's not an active crime taking place, that's not an emergency. So you need to call your local dispatch number. And if you don't know what your local dispatch number is, or if you don't know where to look to find your local dispatch number, to your local police, local sheriff, local constable, whoever your local law enforcement is, or any local security that you may have in your area, you probably don't even know what you're talking about, because you don't even know where to begin. So you're not really qualified to speak on these matters. That's what you do in these situations. Call the people who are paid professionals to deal with this stuff. But you as a civilian, your job is to simply pass on the information, and to do so in a way where you haven't placed yourself in the spotlight, where you're not noticeable, where you're not obvious. It needs to be done discreetly, where you're in a secure location where you can't be seen. Because once again, even if it's a person that's in your neighborhood who has bad intentions, and if they can see you making a phone call, you know, and I know some people think that, oh, well, if they see that I'm calling the police, it'll scare them off. Most people, maybe, but what about that smaller percentage where it will just simply enrage and embolden them even more, and then they'll just pull up to your house and just blow you away? Okay, because the most dangerous criminal element that's out there, that's what they're going to do. They're not going to drive off. They're not going to be scared. They're going to pull up to your house, and they're going to now attack you, because how dare you report me to the authorities? The most dangerous criminal element that has no regard for human life whatsoever, that's what they're going to do. So if you see something that's suspicious, that's why you want to be inconspicuous. That's why you want to make that phone call or pass on that information from a safe, discreet location where you cannot be seen. So I just hope everyone listens to these words, heed this video, check out BMT's video, shout out to BMT. And like I say, if you really want to get involved, if you really want to do the work, I've listed a number of resources that you can look up in your local area to if you really want to get something organized, okay? self-defense instructors, gun safety instructors, local law enforcement, local security, your homeowners association, your property owners association, HOA, POA, okay, other community organizations, your local officials, whether it's city council or your county officials, whatever local officials that you have in your area. Those are the places to start if you really want to get involved and if you really want to do the work. Instead of just running your mouth on social media saying things that are reckless and irresponsible. But somehow this is supposed to be about blackmail agency. So that's all I have to say. I just hope that this video educates someone and set the record straight on what you're actually supposed to do in situations like this.